Now to introduce our keynote speaker, the brother and the Professor Tariq Ramadan, holds an MA in Philosophy and French Literature and PhD in Arabic and Islamic Studies from the University of Geneva. In Cairo, Egypt, he received one-on-one intensive training in classic Islamic scholarship from Al-Azhar University scholars. Professor Tariq Ramadan is a professor of Islamic Studies in the Faculty of Theology at Oxford University. He is also a visiting professor holding the Chair Identity and Citizenship at Erasmus University in the Netherlands. He is currently a senior research fellow at St. Anthony's College, Oxford, Dushinsha, or Dushinsha University in Kyoto, Japan, and at the Lokahi Foundation in London. In October 2007, he was offered a professorial chair in Islamic Studies at the University of Leiden. He decided to turn down the offer. Through his writings and lectures, he has contributed substantially to the debate on the issues of Muslims in the West and the Islamic revival in the Muslim world. He is active both at the academic and grassroots levels, lectured extensively throughout the world on social justice and dialogue between civilizations. Professor Tariq Ramadan is currently president of the European think tank, a European Muslim network in Brussels. Again, I am honored to introduce to you Brother and Professor Tariq Ramadan. Please come.
As I said at the beginning, I really think that by coming this evening, you come to eat, you come to listen to talks, but more importantly, we are all here, inshallah, to support what is done here. And let me tell you something. This was in 2004 when I was banned from this country in the name of the Patriot Act for 6 years. I can tell you something which is the reality of it. Many of the Muslim organizations at that time, it was 3 years after September the 11th, were scared. And even when I was trying at the beginning to send and to get support from Muslim American citizens, I can tell you in Muslim organizations, they were not there. At that time, when it started, the whole process started, I was not in touch with the organization. It's non-Muslim who called me and tell me, we are going to take your case. And we have now organizations that are doing the job and doing it for us. And I think that beyond being a Muslim and not being a Muslim, you know now that Muslims are targeted in this country. And when I see that, to support the organization and the two organizations in such a way, I think that you should do more. So before leaving this room, if you are able to do more and you haven't done what you are able to do, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها, I always quote this verse by saying to the Muslims, be careful, you get the verse the wrong way. Allah is not asking you more than what you can do. Very often we take it as an easy verse, saying, I cannot do more than what I can do. I am not asked to do more. But if you don't do what you can do, that's the problem. The verse is very demanding. Ask yourself, are you doing what you can do? Before saying, I'm not asked to do more than what I can do. And it means in financial, in supporting organization, in doing what you have to do within this society. I think that you should think about it before leaving and help the two organizations. For me today, what I wanted to share with you is something which is essential for now and for the future. And it works on many levels. It works as our understanding as human beings, as Muslims, as citizens, American citizens or Western citizens, and to start thinking about what was said, but also in which way things are happening. You know, we are talking about democracies, and we are talking about societies where we cherish freedom and human rights and dignity, and all this is right and good. And we should be quite clear on this. I'm not talking that way because I want to please the West. I'm talking that way because I want to be consistent with my values and to please Allah that I love and to serve the people that I respect. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in the Quran and sending us the message which is so important, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, we give dignity to human beings. It means that before being a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew or a Buddhist and an atheist, what I have as a human responsibility when I say La ilaha illallah, there is no God but the one God that I believe in, I'm saying to the people, I will respect you beyond what you are doing with yourself. I respect your human dignity before sometimes you disrespect it. By the way you behave, by the way you are, some people are showing disrespect for their being. We are here to show first that we respect the dignity of human beings, and that is our mission. By saying this, it's important to look at what is happening in our society, because we have around us presidents and prime ministers and intellectuals saying democracies are good and we are cherishing democracy. Look at what is happening in the West. Something which is very dangerous for all of us, and it was referred to as something that we are facing. You know, this politics of fear, or what I call the ideology of fear, it's today to see politicians that are not coming and asking us to vote for a political vision, for a social project. They are asking us to vote very often between two trends, two political or three political parties, and very often what they are referring to is, be careful, we are under threat. And this mindset that is everywhere is what we know in political terms as the new populism. And the new populism is not to ask your mind to think and to expect your emotions to react. It's about emotions. And it's about spreading fear and mistrust. And they're asking you, vote with your emotions, not with your mind. And this is dangerous for all of us. The very essence of a democratic system is undermined if you are called and asked to vote with your emotions and not with your mind. When you are perceived as, and this is very dangerous for all of us, but sometimes Muslims are doing the same. Because some American Muslims, they are very emotional and they put themselves and they are accepting something which is the victim mentality. The people don't like us, they don't like Islam, so we react in the way which is just, when we see someone who is calling for justice, we are, or sometimes being nice with us, emotionally we are supporting without thinking about it. The true struggle in our times, the jihad of the intellect, jihad of intelligence, jihad of wisdom. This is the true things that we have to understand, is that when the people around us are all emotionally driven, the way to face up to our responsibilities is to stand up and say, no, now it's time to think, not time to support emotionally. And when we are people who are understanding this and they are using what happened, because we all condemn terrorism, we all condemn the killing of civilians. And when we say this, not in a selective way, and this is why we have to start to be courageous in the way we condemn. Because to condemn the fact that some civilians were killed in the United States of America, this has to be done. But you have to say exactly the same, because all these terrorist attacks are not only targeting the West. The most important people and the more, you know, the numbers, if you look at the numbers, the people who were killed, they were killed in Bali, they were killed in Morocco, they were killed in Jordan. We also have to say this is unacceptable. But we have to add to this, and all the civilians that are killed in Palestine are also civilians that we are protecting and supporting. Because we are, by definition, on the side of the oppressed and the innocent. So no selective denunciation because you want to please your government. Because if you please your government, you displease God if you are unjust in your denunciation. So it starts with courage, not with emotional, you know, when I was, for example, you know why some Muslims in this country refused to support me when I was banned from this country? Because they said I'm too tough with the Palestinian situation. Too tough by criticizing all these people who are quiet and silent when it comes to the blood of the Arabs and the Palestinians. Because you have to be diplomats. No, not diplomats at the price of being just. We are calling for more justice. So when I'm saying this is to face the emotional politics and to understand what is happening and in which way mistrust is spread, and populism is it's a danger for all of us. Now, what we see also, you know, for years we were told, you Muslims, you new migrants, you new citizens, and you can come from Latin America, or you can come from Africa, or you can come from the Middle East. You should abide by the law of the country. You have to be law-abiding, and this is what we understood. And you know, the scholars, the ulama, and for myself, for 25 years, I was involved in fiqh and trying to understand in which way the flexibility of Sharia, it's possible to find ways with the latitude, with the legal frameworks. All this was done, and we have been working, and some came with new ideas, fiqh al-aqalliyat on the one side, on the other side, how we deal with this and how we abide by the law. And after 20 years, this was clear. Now, 20 years ago, we abide by the law of the country. We are repeating this, and we said it. There is nothing wrong in Islam to abide by the law of the country. Why? Because in all the Western countries, there are two fundamental rights that we cherish and that are good for us. Freedom of worship and freedom of conscience. That's all fine. It's all fine if the laws are implemented equally and consistently. The problem is not this. The problem is not that we have a problem with the law. We have a problem with the way the law are implemented. And it's coming from where? It's coming from something which has nothing to do with the legal framework. We thought that we have to deal with the legal framework. We did it, well, alhamdulillah. But the problem is not this. The problem is that for someone, even if you have the passport and you are an American citizen, you are even more dangerous than if you are not. If you speak English as they speak English, European languages as they speak European, you are more dangerous. Because in their mind, you might have the citizenship, you don't belong to the country. You are a foreigner inside. And you know the problem is that some Muslims are playing exactly this with their discourse. They still are in us versus them. They don't like us, and they play this. The point is very much to start with this. You say, you know what? We are speaking here as human beings and as Americans. This is our country. And we belong to the narrative. This narrative is ours. And the Muslims are going to play an important role with all the people who are supporting justice in this country when they are understanding that they are part of the narrative, and what they want is to reconcile the United States of America with its own values. It's not to talk from outside, it's to talk from within. These are our common values, and we are here to reconcile the law with the implementation, the legal framework with the values, the norms with ethics. This is our contribution to the United States of America. Our contribution to the United States of America is to say we are Americans, and our first duty as Americans is to start with the duty, the commitment to act against any discrepancy, contradictions in the way you deal with the law. Because at the end, it's not new, by the way. If you look at the African American, the way they were, the history, they know what it means to be a second-class citizen. They know what it means to be perceived as a second-class citizen. You are American, but you are black. But you are black. You are American, but the way we are going to implement the law on you is not going to be the same, because you are poor and there are rich people who can buy lawyers and they can have them. So in our understanding is when we see all this emotional politics is to do what? What are they trying to do, the Tea Party and the neocon? Not only them, also Democrats. It's transversal. By the way, don't think that the Democrats are all, no, it's transversal. This is why you can see that some people are good on both sides and bad people on both sides. It's to do what? It's to tell you and to create something which is, in the perception, the fact that you are not really American. You don't belong to this country. And so you have to start by saying, it's in the name of the values of this country that are not in contradiction with my values as a Muslim, my ethical ground as a Muslim. So I'm reconciling the United States with its values, and also I'm talking in a situation where I'm confident that these are values that as a Muslim I'm promoting, and that I'm completely supporting this because it's me. This is my religion, and these are my principles. By saying this, I think that the starting point of the discussion for us is, as I said, is to start by saying, okay, this is our country, and it's to think about the narrative much more than the legal framework, where we position ourselves as citizens in this country. And now, to understand our responsibility. You know, in the beginning of the 90s, I wrote a book about Muslims in secular society, meaning, in fact, in the West. And the subtitle was Responsibilities and Rights Muslim. And I was starting with responsibility because this is the way we have to deal with our understanding of what it means. When we say, for example, La ilaha illallah, when we understand that there is one God, Ma'nat al-Tawheed, the meaning of Tawheed is what? It's very much this one, is that we acknowledge that there is one God, and then we have responsibilities. Responsibilities towards God, responsibilities towards ourselves, and responsibilities towards humanity. This is the understanding of Islam. We don't start by saying my rights. So we say, what should I do? What are my responsibilities? And the first is to educate ourselves and to be confident. Please don't try to understand our spirituality as a being on the margin of our life. When we talk about spirituality, what does it mean? Remember at the beginning, the first occurrence of jihad in the Quran is coming with what? لَا تُطِعَ الْكَافِرِينَ وَجَاهِدْهُمْ بِهِ جِهَادًا كَبِيرًا. Don't obey the people who are denying God. And وَجَاهِدْهُمْ بِهِ here is the Quran. The first attitude of resistance, when you are people who can be driven emotionally, your first resistance is to come with your mind. And the Quran is coming with this by saying, وَجَاهِدْهُمْ بِهِ جِهَادًا كَبِيرًا, meaning the greatest resistance should be an intellectual resistance. Use the Quran, use the revelation as a way you resist them. You're not going to kill them, you're going to educate them. Don't kill, educate. The jihad of education is when the people are ignorant or the people are manipulated, because you know the problem is that many of your fellow citizens in this country, they are sincerely doubting you. Sincerely, they are very sincere. If you watch TV, Fox News and all this, if you are not scared of Islam, you are not normal. Of course it's scary. So they are sincere. So to them you respond with education. And then to the people who are behind that are not so sincere and not so ignorant, you are politically equipped to respond to them. And the way you respond to them is, I'm not going to let you do what you want. I'm going to vote. I'm going to be involved in politics. I'm going to be a citizen that knows what has to be done in this country. So to the ignorant, I educate. To the people who are manipulating, I stand up with courage. And this is what is missing sometimes to some American Muslims. Very easy to be courageous tonight here in this room. That's not here. The courage is outside. The courage is facing the government when the government is unjust. The courage is to understand that your loyalty to this country is always a critical loyalty. You are right, well, with you. You are wrong, you will find us. I'm not going to be silent. I'm not going to be silent. So our understanding here is to understand what Islam means. You have one thing which is the beginning is educate yourself and respond to ignorance with knowledge. Respond to legitimate questions with wise answers. People have legitimate questions about Islam today. And some, they are silent when they see all this because they don't know. So our way of being involved in this society, you know, when sometimes you say can you just imagine that some people who are in jail now, they don't know what they have done. Even the government don't know what they have done, and they are completely alone, 24 hours, alone. How do you call this? This is psychological torture. This is torture. Call it as you want, but this is torture. You put someone alone in a room, and you let him or her, and mainly him, because we suspect that he might be a terrorist, you don't know, and some of them are innocent. Some of the people who are in Guantanamo, we know that they are innocent and they are still there. And to win the next election, you let the people in jail? This is the way you talk about democracy? You can pray the next election by putting people in jail and we are silent? I'm sorry. Democracy is not by enjoying freedom and coming here tonight. It's to speak up against injustice and to be courageous. To be courageous. And it's only when we are going to put two things, our courage and our money, in the struggle, that we'll win. It's the two legs. These are the two legs of a troop. It's our courage. الذين آمنوا وجاهدوا بأنفسهم وأموالهم. أنفسهم is what? Courage. وأموالهم, money. Courageous with their self. They are ready to this sacrifice, and they put money. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. They give you what they have, and what they have should be, they give with their courage, and they give with their money. It's not only money, it's not only material thing, it's also your presence, it's also your mind, your heart. This is spirituality, by the way. Be careful with all these new type, you know, some governments now, in the Muslim majority countries, and in the West, they are supporting Sufi. Sufi is at the center of Islam, but not Sufi the way they are talking about. Sufi is pray during the night and disappear during the day. The Sufi we know is pray during the night in order to change the world during the day. This is our Sufism. We pray during the night, yes, but we want to change the world. Because this is the way the Prophet was. This is the way he was. He was not sleeping a lot, but he was very active. And you know when did he start? He was 40. Us today, when we are 40, say, oh, now it's time to rest. He started, he was 40. And he started being, you know, and he was courageous. One tribe insulted a woman about the headscarf. He prepared an army. You touch one of us, you will find us all. And we are saying the same, but not doing the same. We are the first to talk and the last to act. So at least if you are not at the forefront, let the people who are ready to do the job, do the job. And sometimes it's very important for us to understand, don't make it a Muslim business. Injustices, racism, and Islamophobia is not only the case of the victims. It's something which has to do with all the people. It's not only about Muslims. It's not only about black people or African American. It's not only about Latinos. It's about all of us. So when we have people coming from another background, Christians, Jews, atheists, agnostic, Buddhist, whatever, and they are ready to do the job, sometimes it's very important to have this together. Why? Because sometimes they can say things that you cannot say. It's true. There are things that some non-Muslims can say that you cannot say. If you say them, you are destroyed. And you know, Amnesty International, they know this, and they started this only on the national ground. If you were facing Tunisia, they were not going to send a Tunisian guy to say something against the Tunisian government. Because they might not get him, but they will get his family. So you have to be intelligent in the way you are resisting. It's a front. It's a coalition. The coalition is, you do this, and we are adding competencies and strength to the whole thing. So anyone who wants to face, Islamophobia by saying, let us gather all the Muslims, and think now in America that it's only the Muslim business, you are completely wrong. You're not going to win anything like this. You are going to put yourself on the margin. You are doing exactly what the Tea Party wants you to do. You are playing the victim mentality, putting you on the margin. Come to the mainstream. Come at the center of the struggle and do what you have to do. Do what you have to do. And then this has to be done with confidence. And our spirituality is about this. You know the most spiritual people that you can see everywhere in your day, every day? People who are confident. I'm not scared. Confident means I know my way. I know my goals. I know my objectives. Confidence as to who you are. Confidence as to where you are going or heading. This is it. This is the very meaning of Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Means go come. I know where I'm going. You know Omar Mukhtar? You remember in Libya when he was arrested by the people, the Italians said, I'm going to kill you. He smiled. And this is written. This is history. And his answer was what? Do whatever you want with me. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. You are but a means. You are nothing more than that. But who do you think you think you can kill me? You think you can kill me? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Come. This is courage. This is spirituality. This is dignity. This is the way we have to be, but with wisdom. No violence. No violence. Wisdom is powerful. Wisdom is power. And words are enough to change this country, if you know how to use them. But as it was said, it's a struggle. It's a real jihad. So if you want to live a spiritual life without facing jihad, forget about it. Spirituality without jihad doesn't mean anything. Anything. Because you know that when you enter the realm of الروحانية الربانية كونوا ربانيين, it's the very understanding is that you start the struggle. And the first is yourself. The first is your own ego. How are you going out of your ego to serve the people? As it was said in Hadith al-Bayhaqi, the best among you is the best for humanity. So we have to come with this understanding of what true and real spirituality is, with this commitment, and this the way also we are courageous. And the last thing that I wanted to say is I'm serious about this. I started by saying this is our country. And you are here in this room and you can see 99% of the people in this room are Muslim. And 99% of the Muslims here are almost coming from two similar backgrounds. Some are coming from the Middle East, some are coming from Asia, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Some are lost in between. Some are converted to Islam. And still, even within our community, we have a problem. It's too much control. It's too much the countries of origin. There is something that we have to reform as Muslims in this country. We have to stop recreating communities based on the countries of origin. We have to start now having something within our community where the African American are with the Arabs, or are with the converts, with one condition. It's not only enough, you know, people are saying, look, we're all together. No, we have to go further than that. Further than that means we have to be serious about the fact that Islam is against any kind of racism, any kind of second or second-class Muslims. That's not possible. So anyone who is an African American, or is a convert, or is an Arab, or an Asian, you have to struggle against your own potential racism in your mind by making him or her equal to you. The first struggle is here. And if you want to know if you are open-minded, because once again, it's very easy to not to be open-minded. Of course, I don't have a problem with black people. I don't have a problem with Asian people. I'm going to ask you a very simple question. What if he or she comes to ask your daughter and your son? That's the good question. I like the black, but not my daughter. I like the Arabs, but not my daughter. We have problems in our community about this, but this is serious. It means that in our mind, the Islah, al-Fahm, start here with our community, but it's not enough. Having said that, when I said at the beginning, we have to say that America is our country, we also have to look at people beyond the community. How many people are we reaching? You want to change the mentality of the Americans? Stop talking to one another. Stop talking to yourself. Stop talking to the people saying, in a room where there are only Muslims, we are open-minded as Muslims. We are good, we are nice. Okay, that's fine, but where are the people who are listening to you? It's like the people who are going to demonstrate outside. They want the people to hear them as Muslims not happy with what is happening in the Middle East, and the first thing they do outside is to say, Allahu Akbar. So, okay, Allahu Akbar, I can understand what you mean. But when you go outside and you say Allahu Akbar in such a way with a media that is just covering what you are doing, for them Allahu Akbar means kill them all. To whom are you talking? What are you saying? Be careful with this. Allahu Akbar is fine. Even the way you are, don't shout it. You have to, Allahu Akbar, it's something which is big for us. Allahu Akbar is a state where you are in connection with Allah. It's not that you are shouting that people can't understand. So if you want to say Allahu Akbar, don't do this in the streets in the West, where you are completely going to be misunderstood. And people are using this. You know, the media can play the way they want. When Allahu Akbar was good during the uprisings in the Middle East, they didn't translate. It's not Islamic. They are nice people. Freedom. When they want to use it against you, you do the same for Palestine. Allahu Akbar. Hamas. And that's it. You said the same thing, it was recorded in different way. So you have to think about this. You have to think about our strategy, in which way. It doesn't mean that we are playing, but just it's a strategy, and we have to be clever. Consistency with what we want to say, and understanding what you want to say. You have to think of who is hearing you when you are talking. And by saying this, what I want you to understand is to go beyond our community, and to think that now you have to be serious about living in the West. You have to be serious about the people who are not Muslims, people of other faiths, and you have to respect them. And you have to bring them in this struggle, because this is an American struggle for the future. It has to do with all our kids, not only the Muslims. You know, when Mandela said, the dignity of a community or a country is the way this country is treating its minorities, he was very right. And then the minorities should not play the minority role by saying we are minority. No, it's over. You know, when I speak in the West, I'm always saying, don't talk to me as a minority. I'm not a minority. My values are majority values. My citizenship is not a minority citizenship. I'm not here as a minority. You can speak about religion, that's another thing. But if we speak about values and citizenship, we are not minority. We are people in this country. And then when we are saying this, we need to show it by being connected with people who share our values, who respect, and even some people who don't know us, who are ignorant, we should open up. And this is the future. This is the future when it comes to this. Because the last point that I wanted to make is, when you are dealing with emotions, we may have the legal framework. The legal framework is going to be read in a way which is completely discriminatory if the people are scared. If they don't trust you, they read the law in a way which could be discriminatory. It's not coming from the law. The law are clear, but the reader is a problem. You know, the law, it's exactly the same. When the people are saying, we have a problem with the Quran. My answer to people are saying, the problem is not in the Quran, the problem is in the readers. The way they read the Quran. Have the same with the law. When the people are scared, the way they are going to read the law could be targeting you. So let us be consistent with all what we are saying. And inshallah, 3 things. The 2 legs. Being courageous, give from yourself. الذين جاهدوا في سبيل الله بأموالهم وأنفسهم, and give from your money. Let the people who can do the job do the job. And for you, try to be consistent with some of the values that you are preaching. No discriminations within the community. Being open to people coming from different backgrounds. Ask yourself the way you were treating, or you would treat someone who is coming to ask your daughter or your son. Are you ready for anyone, as long he or she is pious, right, and a good person? Are you ready for that? I'm not sure. Second, try to be open with people coming from other traditions, and make this struggle the struggle of a nation, not the struggle of a community. And at the end of the day, remember, our contribution to our countries in the West is to serve and to help these societies to reconcile themselves with their values. At least let us be a mirror that is reconciling the societies with our values. And this is the way, as Muslims, where we can be very, very active and very efficient in this, if and only if we understand the very meaning of what our spiritual life is, inshallah. Wallahu a'lam wa a'la wa ahkam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.